Chapter 70 money, and that allowed us to basically restore programs that had been potentially reduced on the town side. And so as a result, took us out of the possibility of needing an override last year. I don't think we're there. We're not, the picture this year is not where we were last year. So I need to say that very clearly. I don't anticipate additional school aid. I believe firmly that the town has made a very good effort to take a look at its budget. You're not seeing new requests, and in fact, I think you're going to be seeing some level of decreased services on the town side. But the bottom line is, the money is what it is. And if there's no question about an override, then we have to present for voters' consideration this available funds budget. And what does that mean for the school? It means that we will increase next year by just over $246,000, or a 1.2% increase. I'm going to tell you, I can't run the North Reading Public Schools as it's presently, as we all know it, with that minimal increase. So, but the school committee and the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee will endorse that available funds budget. They'll make adjustments if we find out that we're getting slightly, increases in Chapter 78. But the bottom line is, this is probably this is what will be going into the warrant for consideration. This budget, the available funds budget, does not require an override. So it's what it is. It allows for the normal growth in taxes under Proposition 2.5. It accounts for additional money, new growth within the community, but it does not require an override. And I think the public sentiment at this point is that an override is very unlikely to occur or to be passed, and therefore it's my responsibility to really lay out in clear terms what does that mean. And I will get into that in a few minutes. The next budget to the left is called the carry forward budget. The finance planning team has asked, well, how much will it cost to simply take everything that you have this year, the programs, the staffing, the services that we call the North Reading Public Schools this year, what does it look like next year? So that budget is the carry forward budget. It just carries us forward into the next fiscal year. No additional staff, no growth. There would be no purchases of any of the textbooks or any of the programs that I talked about. It simply says you're going to get the money that you have this year, and you're going to make adjustments for any salary increases that have been approved under contract growth. So as you know, last year we came through a very challenging negotiations with our teachers. I think we ended up with a fair contract that both sides were agreeable to, but the net result is that we now apply those contracts, and teachers who are here for another year will go up a step. The teacher's contract is based on a 12-step, there are 12 annual increases, so it would take 12 years for a teacher who was hired on step 1 to reach maximum salary. Contracts on the town side are not, there are not as many steps, probably more in the order of 5 or 6, and therefore you reach the top at a much faster rate. And because the turnover rate on the town side has not been as high, you're not dealing with those step raises. You're only going to have increases that, if there's a 2% increase in the contract, then that's what the increase is. So I know one of the questions that's always raised is, well, how can the town side of government live under limited growth, and why is it that the school side is going up? Well, the fact is that well over, at this point, 70% of our teachers are in the first, second, and third year of employment. We've had significant turnover in teaching staff through retirements, and therefore we're hiring a lot of younger teachers, and many of those younger teachers are saying, I'm not sure whether I want to stay in teaching. Now that's not just a North Reading phenomenon, that's happening across this country. There are many educators who are saying, I'm not sure whether this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. We're working hard, very hard, obviously here in North Reading, to make sure that we have the climate and the conditions that will support quality teaching. But keep in mind that if you're a teacher in the middle school and you're being asked to teach Spanish, and you're being asked to teach math, and we're holding kids accountable through the MCAS tests, and we're saying, well, you need to do that, and all students need to reach a proficiency level, but we're going to have 30 kids in a class. That's a very difficult challenge. I read the other week in the transcript a letter to the editor said, what's the problem? Why can't a teacher handle 15 kids? We do not have classes routinely with 15 students. Preschool does, because that's required. You can't go over 15 children. But I don't know anyone who can handle 15 little 3- and 4-year-olds by themselves. That in itself is a huge challenge. So the carry forward budget, as you can see here, go right down to the bottom where it says difference from available funds, would be out of balance by $879,000. That would mean right there, unless we get additional money, that we would need an override to balance the budget, even under the carry forward level. And the huge question for me is, would a voter support an override that does not add anything? There's no value added to supporting an override under the carry forward budget, other than you just simply preserve what you currently have in place. But I think that would be psychologically very hard for the typical voter to go into the voting booth and vote yes to support that carry forward budget, when in fact it's not doing anything in terms of supporting class size issues or buying new textbooks to support fundamental needs. So I think there's a huge problem with that carry forward budget. But because I've been asked to do that and just to basically address the question, what will it cost next year? That's why that carry forward budget is there. The school committee is not supporting it. The school committee is supporting what is called the level services budget. It's the one in the middle. What the level services budget represents is the amount of money that not only carries us forward, but at least keeps us moving forward in terms of our work to deal with class sizes. It's not going to address all of the needs that I cited under the superintendent's budget, but it is going to request 8 additional positions. 4 of them will be in the core subject areas in the middle school, 2 at grade 6, 1 in grade 7, 1 in grade 8. It will also support a foreign language teacher in the middle school to bring those class sizes down from the 27, 28, and 30 range down under 24, or into 24 and 25, which is a little higher, but it's certainly moving in the direction that we need to go in. So 5 of the 8 positions are focused on the middle school. We will also, in that level services budget, recommend 1 academic teacher at the high school, and that'll be simply controlled by need and what courses students sign up for. At the high school, students are taking 8 courses. That's what we require per year in order to graduate. So in order to schedule that, they're taking 4 years of math, 4 years of English, 4 years of social studies, 4 years of lab science. They have to take 2 years of a foreign language. They have to take a fine arts program. They have to take a school of career or something in the technology area. And then they have to take elective courses. And all of that needs to be equivalent to 8 courses per year. So in order to, if you decrease 1 elective, then the students have to be somewhere that would push up the enrollment in another course. So I'm looking to add 1 academic teacher at the high school. And then the remaining 2 would be for special education. And one of those special educators would be at the middle school. We have a language-based program here. Actually, it's housed here at the Hood School, but it represents all 3 elementary schools. And those children will be going on to the middle school next year as 6th graders. We need to hire a special educator to support them. and then one other special educator to support inclusion across the district. So the level services budget will add 8 new teachers. It also will support the purchase of those new textbooks that I outlined under the small cap and textbook budget. Again, I think that's critical. We need to support those. So that's moving us forward. It doesn't address all of our needs that you see outlined in the superintendent's budget, but it's making a good effort. Now, the difficult news is, if you look down at the bottom line, difference from available funds, it's $1.3 million. And it will require an override of $1.3 million. That's the same, or that's actually a little higher than the override that was passed in this town 3 years ago. And that's only for FY08. So you can begin to see the problem that we're faced with. Last night I met with the Finance Committee and we determined that this override would have a tax impact equivalent to 37 cents for every $1,000 of home valuation. So at $100,000 home valuation, that's $37, and then you do the math from there. The typical home in North Reading, I believe the latest data show that I believe the assessed value is probably $450,000 to $460,000. So if you do the math, you can see the impact of this kind of override. But it is an override that, if it did pass, it would have a value added. It would not meet the superintendent's needs budget, but it would at least keep us moving in the direction that I think is important. And the school committee has voted on this budget. This is the budget that will be discussed at the public hearing coming up on March 12th that Deanna mentioned, as well as the other budgets, but the school committee right now is focused on that level services budget. Certainly, if we hear in the next couple of days that the governor's budget will push some more school aid toward North Reading, then that would be reduced. But as I said before, I think if that's over, if it's over 80,000, I'll be surprised. So it's not going to reduce that bottom line. It's not going to make it go away. So there's a real problem that this community has to address. And that's why I said tough times or tough choices, which is the title of that national report. If you flip to the second page, I think I need to go over with you the impact of an available funds budget. That if an override did not pass and we were living under the available funds budget, the bottom line is that I need to find a way to make up that difference, to balance the budget, because we need to open school in September. And so this is my recommendation that I made to the school committee last Monday night. It basically reduces 15, 16 positions, where the bulk of them are in the teaching area. These are layoffs, no question about it. At the elementary level, they're listed here at the top. We would reduce, we would do what I've done annually, and that is look at class enrollments across all 3 schools and determine which one I can reduce by pushing it under, keeping it under 30. You know that. You're continuing to live with the past history of that here at the Hood School. That we have class sizes that are 25, and that is the result of previous years of cutting back. The impact at this point, I believe, would be in the 2nd grade at the little school, and it would push that enrollment to 26 and 27 in the 2nd grade, which is far above what should be happening in the primary level. The other area in the elementary school would be to reduce the special subject areas, no less important than math or science. However, and again, these recommendations are made not because I think they're educationally sound, and they're very unsound decisions.